Overnight, CNN's Chris Cuomo defending the political advice he gave his brother Andrew, New York's governor, accused of inappropriate behavior or sexual harassment by at least 9 women.
I understand why that was a problem for CNN. It will not happen again.
I mean, I'm a lifelong New York State gal, and they love their Democrats in New York, and they love the Cuomos. They loved his dad. I mean, he was born into such a family of privilege, he and his loser brother on CNN, born into such a family of privilege. These guys never would have achieved the positions they have if it had not been for their daddy and his name, very popular 3-term governor of New York, Mario Cuomo. So they get into these positions, and what do? They abuse them. And on the sexual harassment scandal, Eric, just to jump to that, now we find out that they worked together to silence these women and try to attack these some odd 11 accusers who came forward against Andrew Cuomo, none of whom came from any positions of power. The woman they really went after, Lindsay Boylan, her dad was a Marine, her mom was on food stamps, got pregnant as a very young woman, a young teen. This woman, Lindsay Boylan, pulled herself up out of a family that had no advantages, and everything she has in her life she got for herself.
There is a disrespect for women that this administration chronically exemplifies.
She goes to work for Andrew Cuomo as an aide. The guy tries to stick his tongue down her throat, wants to play strip poker with her, says all these inappropriate comments. And then when she finds the courage to tweet about it, what do these 2 privileged brothers do? You know, the ones who trade off of their family name, their family connections, their family power.
You can't be closer than I am with my brother Chris. We have been all our lives. He's my best friend.
They conspire together to try to silence her, humiliate her, embarrass her. They work with the heads of 2 woke organizations to smear her by releasing her personnel file.
To cheapen or ridicule the pain a woman suffers from a sexual attack is disgusting. Sexist and disgusting.
Well, this is a career-defining and a character-defining moment for CNN. Forget Chris Cuomo. We know who he is.
I understand why that was a problem for CNN. It will not happen again. It was a mistake.
But the younger Cuomo conceding that when it comes to his brother, he is biased.
I can be objective about just about any topic, but not about my family.
Less than 2 months ago, Chris Cuomo promised his viewers to be straight with them.
I cannot cover it because he is my brother.
While he avoided the story on the air, off camera, he was involved. This morning, the governor's office confirming what the Washington Post first reported, that Chris Cuomo joined strategy calls with the governor's aides about how to respond to the scandal.
Did Chris Cuomo do more than just listen on these calls?
Yes, Chris Cuomo gave a lot of advice on these calls. He struck a fairly pugilistic tone, telling his brother to not resign, to push back against the allegations, to not give in to quote-unquote cancel culture.
People who say they are victims should be believed. And you have to know that women don't come forward often and for good and painful reason.
The term Cuomo-Sexual refers to Andrew and his brother, CNN anchor Chris Cuomo's adoring new fan.
Because there are a lot of conservatives who say, oh, okay, I can forgive Chris Cuomo, he helped his brother. This isn't about what kind of a brother he was. No one's saying, oh, you helped your brother. This is about what kind of an anchor he is. Yeah. When you have these roles in the cable news anchor desk and any of the anchor desks, you have a responsibility to journalism, to your audience, to your news organization, to uphold a higher standard. And if you're going to go political operative, full political operative, taking a side on a story and actively working against one other.
Now, the numbers are compelling, but also is the president's response. It shows how perverse this current dynamic is. He's accused with rape, okay? And when others were covered in large ways, why is this not front page news everywhere? What does that fatigue say about us?
You've got to disclose it, and you've got to take a leave of absence. The only reason we know Chris Cuomo did any of this stuff is he got caught. The Washington Post found out, outed him, and only then did he come on the air and say, oh, I can't report on my brother because I'm biased. Now you can't report on him. And then we found out he was working behind the scenes. Even since then, now it's come out, even since then, and post his promise not to do it, he has been doing it. So CNN, this is a moment for Jeff Zucker. Does he care at all about journalistic standards at all? Is there a 1% of that left in that news organization?
I never covered my brother's troubles because I obviously have a conflict, and there are rules at CNN about that. I said last year that his appearances on this show would be short-lived, and they were. The last was over a year ago, long before any kind of scandal. I also said back then that a day would come when he would have to be held to account, and I can't do that. I said point blank, I can't be objective when it comes to my family. So I never reported on the scandal.
Think about how the women inside of CNN are feeling about this guy right now. He actively worked behind the scenes to dismiss them all as part of cancel culture. The state trooper who says Andrew Cuomo was gratuitously rubbing her stomach as she walked by. The young executive assistant whose breast he felt underneath her blouse. These guys get wind of these allegations and decide to go after the women. Chris Cuomo is going to look at his staff and say he cares deeply about these issues. These stories are going to keep coming. Is he going to bow out of all of them? He's lost all credibility. He's shown us who he is. And I think at a minimum, this guy needs to be turfed for a long time, if not let out of that post.
There are stories and critics saying all kinds of things about me, many unsupported. But know this, my position has never changed. I never misled anyone about the information I was delivering or not delivering on this program. I never attacked nor encouraged anyone to attack any woman who came forward. I never made calls to the press about my brother's situation. I never influenced or attempted to control CNN's coverage of my family. And as you know, back in May, when I was told to no longer communicate with my brother's aides in any group meetings, I acknowledged it was a mistake. I apologized to my colleagues, and I stopped, and I meant it.
Have you spoken to your brother today, sir? Of course. Did you advise him to step down? Are you continuing to advise him? Do you think that's an ethical conflict?
I think you got a job to do, and I'm letting you do it.
Thank you, sir. Is your brother coming to East Hampton?
Yes, if you wait here, he'll be here in 5 minutes.
Thank you. Do you think he'll be accepted in East Hampton? Do you believe the women, sir? Do you believe the women's stories? Did you counsel your brother to malign them?
Run.
Do you think there should be an investigation in CNN?